Good evening.
They're coming in. We'll give it a couple more minutes.
Wonderful.
Ooh. Woosah.
We woo-sign, right?
Is that the one you have, Miko?
Oh, man.
I got every woman, but Woosah is one of my favorites.
25. That's nice.
So we'll get that at the end out for you. Can y'all see the people logging too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Nice.
Welcome everybody.
Welcome,
we'll give people a
welcome.
few more minutes to fall up in here.
Welcome and thank you.
Okay, they coming in.
Definitely.
Oh,
Thank you all for joining us.
What am I missing?
I'm being nosy. I'm being nosy.
Under
Like, don't change
attendance.
nothing. We don't want to miss you, Eleanor.
Okay,
We
I
don't
see
want
it.
Checking in on the chats, the Q&A. Okay.
All right, I see.
Yes.
Check in. Oh, people
All
are
right.
People are definitely coming in. Welcome all. Welcome. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi.
Is my piano bar too loud? I like piano.
No, cool.
Now,
You
can
gonna
y'all
play, you gonna play us
respond to
something,
Q&A?
Dr. Sister Francis?
Oh, just Apple Music, that's all.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. 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 So we have Arizona.
Oh, that's awesome.
Dr. Francis, are you in Chicago?
Detroit.
Detroit.
Detroit now.
Dr. Dawne is here code with me, right?
That's
I
right.
sure am.
Okay.
Especially today.
Yes.
Especially today.
Yeah, we're cold. All of us are cold except
Yeah,
Dr.
Detroit.
Seaton.
Detroit
Right. Dr.
is
Seaton,
number one.
she didn't even say anything. She just got that smile like,
I know, like I'm good. I'm
I
getting this
don't know anything
sunlight,
about that.
this
70
vitamin
degrees.
D.
70 degrees. 70 degrees.
Okay, I'm over here sipping tea. I need
I
it.
know.
I need my
Okay.
tea.
It'll be in the
I thought
90s
maybe
by
I
the
should get my
weekend.
heating pad. That is my.
But you
when
know
I work
what?
in-
Everyone, y'all can keep talking. Everyone is saying hello, shout outs. We got
Welcome.
Edisha
Welcome.
Christian, that's my cousin from the Shy. She get her check in. We got
Awesome.
Yolanda, Kimberly,
should be.
Collier,
Monica.
Oh, that's Dawn's sister.
Monica,
Tina.
Glennis,
Hey,
former
Glennis.
sister,
But
Hi,
now-
Cassandra.
Linnell, they
Tanya.
calling in, y'all. I can't keep up with all this. But thank you so much. We're gonna give it another minute. Let everybody
Hi,
get in, get
Simone.
joined.
My cousin is here.
Hey,
Tina,
cousin.
Miss Monica, Yolanda, y'all represent.
Tina.
Yes, representing.
Renee. Hey, Glennis. Long
That's
time
right.
no see.
I know it's been a minute. Been a minute.
So, Facebook will get you, have you thinking you in people's lives because you're
Right.
seeing their pictures. You haven't laid
Right.
hands on them or
Thank
Like
you.
you
hugged their
That's
neck
true.
or, I mean, it
That's very
definitely
true.
serves a purpose, I think, but it can,
Yeah,
it'll fool you and you think you know something and you're like, Tamiko, I
Right.
haven't put my hands on you in 20 years.
Girl, thank you.
You-
Thank you. You right about that. It's been too long. It's been way too long.
I know.
It
absolutely.
really has. It has.
Absolutely. That, what can you do? You're out in the world trying to
Yes.
share and make stuff happen. And I laugh. I said, I was gonna joke with Dr. Eleanor and say I'm waiting for my membership packet for the I Love Dr. Eleanor fan club because the president is co-presidents. It's Dr. Tamra Gibbs and Dwayne Davis. They both, they fighting for the president.
They fighting for
Right. So I said,
That's so sweet.
and they said, I said, I want to be a member. So, I
wow.
said, I'm telling you, yeah, that's my girl. That's my girl. I said,
Wow. Eleanor been doing her thing.
absolutely.
You know what, Grenita? I'm gonna holler at you. You could drop by my show, do a segment. I'm gonna holler at you. Send me your information.
Holla at me, baby. Holla at me. Okay. For sure.
Eleanor
Like,
does
drop by
not
my
play.
show. See how she so casually said that? No.
Dr. Foster dropped by. I'm working on Dr. Stockard.
Yeah.
Dawne, you come on through as well. Dr. Collier, like, come on, everybody.
Yeah,
come on through.
absolutely.
Everybody can get
Let's
some.
do
Everybody.
it.
Everybody.
I appreciate
We're gonna start, ladies. I know we had like a lot of people register. You know, last I checked, and that was a few days ago, it was 100-some people. And you know, everyone probably can't make it. Life happens, but we have a lot to talk about. So we're just gonna go ahead and welcome everyone and get started. And just let people continue to fall in. I want to say thank you to everybody for taking time with us this evening. Thank you to the panelists. Happy 10-year anniversary, VIP. Woo! I can't believe it's been 10 years. I thought I would have re-updated it by now, but life happens. It's all good. And I'm just excited to share this space with you all. And it's my hope that it'll be a space for healing and empowerment and education and upliftment. That's everything that I'm about, and the organization that I own is about, which is E.D.I.F.Y LLC. I want to thank my panelists for being here. We're going to do introductions shortly. And this is just going to be just to level set. This is like, you know, not your typical academic presentation. I know when you guys saw the degrees and the titles, you know, you probably think you're getting presentations and all that. We do enough of that. That's cool and it has its place, but this is more just, you know, a conversation about wellness, you know, real conversation. And we're going to get through as much as we can, but we just want you to sit back, grab your tea if you got it, or whatever you want to sip on, and just relax. We're just happy to have you here. There will be a Q&A. We'll try to get to most of the Q&A. We may not be able to get to all of it, but please put your stuff in the Q&A. And as we said earlier, this might just be the first of many to come. So, you know, just we'll get to it one day at a time. I want to thank, give a shout out to my mini-me, my daughter Ari, because every time I told her I'm doing something, she just be like, okay, Mom, you got this, you know, you got this. And I know I be doing the most. So, and Mr. Cavis, who have been telling me forever that I need to do a women's webinar and series, and I gave every excuse in the world, but I'm just stepping out on faith. Renee, KQ Communications, Ship, I don't know if you're on yet, but she also was like, you got to make this happen. I know you don't do the social media, but you know, we need to hear your voice. All the people who have supported me, VIP book from day one, my cousin Ashan, she talked about this book more than I do. So I got to shout her out, all my family, friends, and supporters. So we're just going to start by just level setting. And one of the things I like to do, it seems like it's forever, but just take 1 minute and we're going to get grounded. We're going to slow it down, set our intentions, and take some deep breaths so we can get into this conversation. So you just get comfortable. You can close your eyes if you want to, or if you don't, and just start taking deep breaths in through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. Just really start to set your intention for this meeting, forgetting about the things that happened before, not thinking about what you have to do after this, and just taking this time as a time for self-care, to allow yourself to be open to hearing about wellness and new ideas and enjoying this space. And breathing is a nice way to slow your heart rate. It lowers blood pressure, and even though we breathe to stay alive, we don't often take really deep enough breaths to have a great health benefit. So one more. Thank you and welcome. I needed that. So without further ado, I will start the introductions. And these are brief introductions, and I know we're going to be pressed for time, but I want to give my panelists the honor of reading these and reading what they do. So let me get this in order here. So first we have Dr. Dawne Collier. I'm always mess up your last name. Dr. Dawne is a board certified OBGYN hospitalist who is recognized Chicago-based practitioner, author, and speaker. Dr. Dawne's expertise, compassion, and approachability makes her a well sought after medical advisor and women's health educator. Dr. Dawne is passionate about her mission, which is to empower women of all ages with relevant medical knowledge that will optimize their physical and mental health, thereby improving their self-esteem. As the Chief Medical Advisor of Dr. Dawne, OBGYN.com, and the Clever Girl Life series, her book, she focuses on positive sexual education of women of all ages, setting the foundation for successful personal self-actualization. Welcome, Dr. Dawne. And I should mention, she earned her Bachelor's of Arts from Northwestern University College of Arts and Sciences and her Doctorate of Medicine at the Ohio State University College of Medicine. She completed her residency at Henry Ford Hospital and Health Systems. So Dr. Dawne, one of the questions, kind of our icebreaker I'm asking all of you off the top is, what is one of your self-care practices? I knew she was like, off mute, Dawne.
I said sleep, honestly, sleep. And my goal this year is to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. I don't get it every time, but it makes a big difference. It helps you heal whatever ailments you have. The sleep helps heal you, keeps you calm, gets you ready for the next day. And it's very basic, but it's something that we overlook. So I would say really try to get a good sleep routine and get that 7 to 8 hours in as you can.
Absolutely, 100%, 100%. And next we have Dr. Grenita Hall. Dr. Grenita Hall brings 30 years of experience developing and sharing wellness programming with local communities. She is a NASM certified personal trainer and women's fitness specialist, Zumba instructor, and the founder of Culture Wellness Incorporated, a company that partners with communities in celebrating and utilizing culture in improving health. Grenita has a PhD in kinesiology from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. She is a clinical assistant professor in the UIC Department of Physical Therapy and directs their faculty practice physical activity clinic. Her research interests include the physiological and psychosocial burden of racism-related stress and the ways culture informs wellness practices of historically excluded communities and racialized populations. Welcome, my former sister, still my sister, Grenita, Dr. Grenita Hall. Come off mute, Grenita, and tell us one of your self-care practices.
Okay, thank you for that, Miko. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me here to share this space with you all, wonderful women and the people who are tuning in. My self-care practice is I dance every Tuesday. The last time I danced professionally was about 4 years ago. And when I stopped, it took a piece of me. And, you know, life and work gets in the way. And for my 50th birthday, and my daughter's on here, Renee, I saw your name, baby girl, and maybe my other baby girl, Tamara Gibbs. For my 50th birthday, I went by myself and danced, did salsa, did some other stuff. And I said, every Tuesday until I turn 102, I'm gonna dance. So it's usually in my living room in front of a YouTube video, but I just decided that makes me happy. That's who I am. I'm not a performer anymore, but I do still consider myself a dancer. So if I only dance for myself, then that's enough. So that is my, I take that time and that's just for me, so.
I love that, sister. And I think
you know, we used to dance all day, every day.
I know.
School, and then we did school. We did dance practice first.
Yeah. And then,
Glennis,
yeah.
and then we did school. Toya.
We sure
That's
did.
what
That was life.
It
That
was so
life.
easy. We had the time. Of course, we didn't have these careers and families, but it was something that it was inherent. It was part of who we were.
Yes.
Like for us to go and practice for 2 hours, that was nothing. And now 15 minutes, it's like, ooh, ooh, ooh.
And I miss it when you said, when you stopped doing it, a part, and I'm paraphrasing, like you felt like a part of life was taken out of you. I can resonate with that because when I sit down, there's not a lot of things I can really say I really like enjoy doing. You know what I mean? Like really brings me like pleasure. I enjoy this. And I took some time a while back and wrote a list, and dance was part of that. And I know that about me. I don't do it. And I'm like, why is that? And it's like, yeah, I catch myself, something come on and people know, they'll never know, and I'll just bust out. So I had those moments, but the intentionality I love. So I'm going to use that, sister. And I
And I have an accountability partner.
Okay.
Linnell Owens. Hey, baby, I don't know if you're on there.
Okay.
I'm like, did you do Cuckoo at Fitness? She's like, girl, did you do so-and-so? So we have that check-in, to try and
keep me accountable.
Just keep each other accountable, because we all need that, whether you are in it, you're a professional dancer, whatever you do, you just need somebody to check up on you sometimes. Hey girl, how do you go?
That's true. That's true.
So we do that for one another.
Oh, thank you, sister. So next we have Dr. Eleanor Seaton. She's a professor at Eleanor at Arizona State University. Dr. Seaton is a developmental psychologist who uses quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods to examine the following topics among Black adolescents and adults: the impact of racism on mental health, racial identity as a protective factor for racism, the intersection of race, gender, and pubertal development, and the biopsychosocial impacts of racism. Recently, Dr. Seaton initiated a project examining the impact of Chicago-style house music among Black adults who are members of Generation X. We took that survey. Dr. Seaton, now I looked these acronyms up before, but you got to help me with this. Dr. Seaton is a former chair of SRCD's committee, the SRA's Diversity and Equity Committee, and currently serves on their governing council. She is dedicated to eradicating racism and enhancing the number of underrepresented scholars in developmental science. Dr. Seaton developed the Scholars Development Program designed to increase the number of Black developmental scientists receiving NIH funding, a racial disparity that NIH acknowledges. Dr. Seaton currently co-hosts a television segment titled Break It Down, Arizona, PBS, a PBS program where she discusses how racism impacts various facets of society. Dr. Seaton has a tendency to journal, travel, bake desserts, shop, read, watch movies, and dance to Chicago-style house music when relaxing. We got another dancer. Dr. Seaton, welcome.
Yeah, but I wasn't part of Sisters. Let's be clear.
You wasn't part of the group.
I wasn't part of
You're right.
That wasn't my calling. Amen.
But Ella, we did go to high school together, and you were prom and dance and all that. So don't act like
that wasn't on the Pom Pom Squad.
So
we don't forget about those days.
I'm gonna remute my.
So what's your self-care practice? What's one self-care practice?
You know what? And it really came home during the pandemic. We're all at home. We can't move around. I love to bake, and baking relaxes me. I'm not using my mind. I'm using my hands. And I like to bake because I like to do it. And then I like for people to eat my baked goods, my cookies, my cakes, and people like baked goods. Amen. Y'all like my
Amen.
stuff.
I like baked goods.
So I love to bake, Miko. And I wish I could do it more. I don't have time to do it like every day or not even once a week, but I just love to bake. I love creating things. I love creating something that's good. I don't have to eat it. That's another thing. I'm happy to bake something and give it away, but I absolutely love to bake. In another lifetime, I probably am a pastry chef, but I love to bake.
Love it. Love it.
Ella has a killer red velvet cake. That red velvet.
Yes. Her red velvet and Temple's rum cake. So last but not least, we have Dr. Frances Anderson Stockard is a board certified family physician who has been practicing clinically for nearly 24 years. After serving in an active and busy medical practice for 23 years, she decided to scale back her clinical practice and serve locally on a contractual basis. Dr. Stockard has been instrumental in training and instruction of over 350 physicians and medical students in her 23-year career in academic medicine as a clinical instructor in the city of Detroit. She currently enjoys her abbreviated roles while serving others personally as a wife and mother, professionally and spiritually as one of 2 co-chaplains for the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated Southfield Alumni Chapter. Dr. Stockard believes in the calm serenity that financial margin provides and desires that others experience the peace of financial stability and flexibility. One of her many life guiding scriptures is Proverbs 22:7. Just as the rich rule the poor, so the borrower is servant to the lender. Amen. Welcome, Dr. Frances. Calm serenity. I ain't gonna bust you out. She making it like the calm serenity. Like, no, you stacked your money. You was able to exit before the age of 50 out of the work.
Say that for real.
You got options. You allowed
Exactly.
to have options, but we'll get into that later. But what's your favorite one of your favorite self-care practices?
It's just, that's my ship. Just call me out. You know, what I developed when the pandemic first started, it really hectic and horrible in Detroit. And I started meditating. And I had been turned off from meditating because I'm very much Christian. So it seemed very new agey to me, like, ooh, journey through your previous life and all that. And the Bible actually tells us to meditate on God's word. So there's a lot of peace. It lowers your blood pressure. It lowers anxiety. You can actually treat low levels of panic and depression with meditation. It works. And everybody can do it, and you can do it literally anywhere. If you're sitting and waiting for an appointment, or if you are, even in a real bad traffic, like you don't even have to close your eyes. You can have your eyes open and be meditating. So that has been really, really helpful and to keep me grounded. So that's just one of the practices.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned, because when I started to explore other cultures and ways they deal with stuff, the yoga, the meditation, the Tai Chi, as a believer, as a Christian, people are like, oh, you know, and I'm like, no, I know who my God is. It don't got nothing to do with that. And like you said, you can incorporate the practices, but you know who you're serving. I'm not bowing to no universe or sun. I'm bowing to God. You know what I'm saying? So I think we put ourselves in boxes when we get over religious, you know, and it's a difference between religiosity and spirituality, you know. And as you stated, the Bible clearly says, you know, meditate on my word, you know, and out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So all of that is related, and that's a wonderful practice. So yes, thank you, ladies. I want
just to add to that,
yes,
just when you were talking about the meditation, it was interesting. I was reading about Questlove. He won his first Academy or his Oscar yesterday, and they asked him about all the loveliness that happened yesterday. He said, well, I didn't know anything that was going on because I was in the back
meditating before everything went on. So he went on, had no idea of everything that happened, and won his award. And he was just in a certain space because he was meditating all that time before. So he wasn't nervous. He was just in tune with what was coming for him. So I think that just plays into what Dr. Stockard or Francis is talking about, is where you could do it anywhere, in any situation, and it kind of keep you centered.
That's real, Dr. Dawne, that's real. So we'll, I know, I can't be with these. So y'all, let me just let y'all know what's happening here. Because I got the giggles, I'm laughing, I'm happy.
That's
They're probably
good.
like, we thought these women was gonna be our professional, but
That's good.
y'all don't know these women. They something. And Francis is a comedian. They all got jokes. Let me just say that. And there's so many ways I could go with stuff, and it's just bringing laughter. I'll use that as mine. That is something I need to do more of. But that is definitely a wellness practice. Incorporate that in. We need to laugh. We need to smile, even if you don't feel like it. Just the activity of the muscles in that position releases endorphins and certain hormones that kind of trick your body into thinking that you're okay. So I'm just happy. I'm smiling more than I have in a while. I love these ladies. They all knew me before the time. They know Miko, they know the one who danced around college and did this and that. But I do want to send a shout out to, or just a hello to Kim. I don't know if you're watching. Kimberly Evans was supposed to be a part of this. And you know how the enemy works. Yeah, her voice, she actually lost her voice.
Kimberly Evans Killian,
yes. And she would have been here. Y'all know Kim. She would have been here. So our prayers are with her. And like you said, this is just one of hopefully many. Definitely have you back on, sis. So yes. So we're gonna just start by actually, when I send out the theme, we're gonna start with the theme, every woman, wellness, wisdom, and wealth. What was your initial reaction to that? What does that mean to you? And specifically, when we talk about wealth, because I think people automatically go to money, which it definitely is, what would you say your wealth currency is? And I'll start with Francis. We'll go the other way around.
Oh, actually, I'm just going to keep it real. Money is very important. So my currency, one of them is money. But for me, margin is very important, having some margin. So having the ability to not be on the edge all the time. And so that's not just money, but it's also time, relationships. If you got an extra 5-10 minutes, the conversations you can have in just 5 or 10 minutes to edify somebody else or edify yourself, even if you don't know that you need edifying. But when you're on the run and rushing and everything is an emergency, you don't even have time or the space to look around and notice, wow, that's a rose growing. Wow, that's a sunset. Oh my goodness. So just having margin is a big, big part of my life now.
That's huge. What about for you, Eleanor?
I agree with the money part. I was a broke grad student for so long. It's nice being financially stable. I also think so I've had some health challenges in the past year. So I consider my health to be a form of wealth because I'm grateful to be healthy. I put that in quotes because I am a Black woman with some of the chronic illnesses that a lot of Black people have. I wrestle with hypertension, but in general, I'm relatively healthy, and I don't take that for granted, given that I've had some health challenges. So I consider my health to be a form of wealth. Like Francis, it's really my time. I think now I'd rather spend money and preserve my time than the other way around, because like most of you, I'm so busy. So my time is my most precious commodity that also means another form of currency, and I'm gonna stop, are boundaries. I believe in setting boundaries. And for me, that's saying no, because I work in a white industry and they think I'm gonna be their little slave. No, my no muscle can run a full marathon, probably can do an Ironman, because my no is like, thank you for thinking of me, but I'm not available. And that's it. So boundaries, I've really come to appreciate boundaries. And that's just saying, no, I cannot do everything. I don't want to do everything. And I'm not going to do everything. And again, because I exist in a white industry and I'm only one of a few, I get the request and it's like, nope, I'm not available. So my boundaries are a form of current wealth for me, because I exercise, my no muscle to keep things out and let the things in that I want in. So my health, my time, and boundaries. But more importantly, just saying no.
And no is a complete sentence.
Complete
There
sentence.
you go. Right there. Right
Complete
there.
sentence.
I love it. What about you, Dr. Dawne?
I would have to say, just kind of echoing it, is really getting control of your time. For me, as a hospitalist, I had very little time. You think you have more time, but the way it was set up, because I was working in Urbana, the time really was double stacked, because I took time to get there. I spent time there, and I took time to get back, and then I took time just to recover from the crazy shifts. So just got a new position at U.of.I. Chicago. I'll have better hours. And I think when we say time, is determining how you want to spend your time, determining what you're going to do, the intensity that you're going to do it, and really making more time just to have fun, right? Like, we've been working so hard, we've been working to get where we've been trying to get for the last 20 years, and now it's 20, 30 years in, and you don't want to get to the point where you're only working, right? You don't want to get to the point where that's all you do. So for me, it's really been incorporating into my time to just chill, time to hang out with my friends, time to do stuff I like, picking up hobbies and working outside, and just spending more time enjoying life, as opposed to working or setting up a plan and setting up the next big project. I don't need no more projects. I'm done with projects. My project is how much fun and how am I going to enjoy this life this time that I got left.
Amen. What about you, Grenita?
Well, it's kind of, I just want to say I'm really intentional about being grateful and really cultivating and pouring into my emotional wellness. And that starts with just being grateful. If these pandemic streets have taught me nothing, it is that someone could be here and days, weeks, they could be gone. And they could leave here alone and not be able to even have the in life things that we have with family, to say goodbye, to say, make sure you do these things, that they could be in this space. Early pandemic, we were in a frenzy. We didn't know what to do, what to believe. We were getting all this misinformation from the top. We were trying to figure things out. And I was lost emotionally. Fear for my son, who, after sheltering in place for a week, he was like, all right, I'm gonna go to my friend's house. I was like, you're not. You're gonna have a seat and it's gonna be okay. I'm telling him it's gonna be okay. And I didn't have any point of reference to know that, besides that's what mama says. And just now that we are coexisting in these times, not post-pandemic, but a different wave, just being grateful for the interactions that I have with people. When we got back to campus, I said, even the folks who get on my nerves, I'm happy to see them. that one person in the department that does too much, yet not enough all the time. I was like, hey, how you doing? Glad to be in the space. So just remembering to be grateful, that is my currency. And when I remember the things that I should be grateful for, just my health, just being able to go outside and go to the store and get a cup of coffee, not being worried about being active war, just those little things. Then I remember that it helps me go forward to face the challenges that I have, like Dr. Sister Eleanor, being in a very white space and doing the type of work that I do, where kindly, you know, it's subtle, but I do know there are a few people who value what I'm bringing to the table. I'm a community person. I always say I'm a community worker who tripped on a PhD because I like to read. I like to read, I like to talk. So that's what happened. And community-based research and working with the folk and talking with people, agency, what do you want to do? People, bringing people into the conversation to help solve their own problems. Researchers, we're not about that life. We go into spaces and let populations know what's wrong with them and what we need to do, because this is what the evidence says. So just remembering that I do have a job during the pandemic, gratefully, thankfully, my money didn't change. I wasn't trying to find work. I wasn't putting myself in harm's way because I was an essential worker. And all the essential workers, the physicians, the healthcare people, thank you so much for continuing to go in day to day and put yourselves at risk and your families at risk. That was not my reality. So when I remember those things, the other stuff, a lot of times it's small stuff. Sometimes it's not small stuff and I have to let somebody know.
Right.
But
sometimes you
just have to let
together.
Somebody know, yeah, this ain't that, this ain't that.
Yeah.
However, the small things, the things that I might have gotten so, it's like,
it wasn't that big of a deal anymore.
It wasn't that big,
It
or
wasn't
it was that big of a deal. And I got to put my energy, love, time, compassion, voice, mama and sister and somewhere else. So you can have all of that.
It is that big of a deal. Yes.
And sometimes it is, but you can have that.
Exactly.
I have to do this.
And you said the key word, sister, energy preservation. And it's about being able to say, I'm not gonna give you that. I could address it, but it's not worth the energy to deal with that. And I think especially as women, especially as Black women in the space, being mindful of where you put your energy. And it's like, I see so many situations where I feel like people like, you really don't have to be dealing with that. Like you can, it's about choices. And that brings me to the word wisdom. And wisdom is about how we navigate life, right? It's not about intelligence. It's not about a degree, you know? So I want to be clear on that. Even though we're all up here with degrees, I know so many wise people in my life who don't have degrees, didn't go to college and things like that. So when we're talking about wisdom, first of all, we're all believers. So we know that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So we start there. We know it's bigger than us. And we make decisions each day about how we're going to navigate life, you know, and choosing energy, boundaries, all the things that you talked about and how that plays into wellness. I'm gonna move forward because we getting through this and this time is going. But we probably gonna even get to this book, and that's okay. We already talking about everything that's in here, but I wanted to get more directly into some things as it relates to it. And thank you. And just everyone gave the answer, every woman, wellness, wisdom, wealth, and what that means for you. And sometimes wealth, like you said, it definitely can be dollars. We got to be smart about that. But we've seen all those examples of people who have millions of dollars, won a lot or whoever, and they broke, in a couple years. So you have to have that wisdom to be able to understand when you do get blessed or in a financial situation and have the money, so you will know how to handle it. And that's something I really try to teach my daughter and my nieces and nephews and things, so they can grow up knowing, because we're learning this. Like my generation, for my family, I don't know about everybody else, we're kind of like the new money per se. So our parents did the best they could, but we're in situations that we didn't see with them. They didn't have the retirement funds and invest into stocks. It was really just living, paycheck and making ends meet and making ends do. So for me too, in this generation, it's about learning those new concepts about money management, what wealth means. And I think my currency is all of that. It's also things like compassion, kindness. I think those are some of my currencies as well. So we'll move on really quickly. I won't read as much, but I want to point out a few things in here because I really want us to focus more on the wellness. We hear a lot we know about the condition of Black women's health, right? We know the statistics, or we've heard most of them. And I really want this to be about empowerment, putting the power back into your hands, and you're the expert of your bodies. We're experts. We go to school, we learn stuff. So we need to partner. And like Dr. Hall said, Grenita said, when we're making these decisions, we have to bring in the community and bring in everybody to help inform the decisions that we make. So I want to start by actually asking Eleanor. We're just going to be starting on page 3. And I won't read it all for interest of time because I want to hear her answer. But basically, I talk about the cry of many African-American women feeling that they're not respected, that they're not taken seriously, that something could be wrong, they're not being treated fairly. And talking about combining the race as an African-American woman, plus also being a woman, gender. So we have those two categories, and it brings us on a topic called intersectionality. So I wanted you to talk about that and let us know, how does that inform health, or why is that important when we start to talk about intersectionality and how it relates to health?
So first of all, the right wing has made it one of their buzzwords, and we need to take it back, reclaiming our word. But intersectionality was formulated by a Black legal professor, Kimberly Crenshaw. It originated in legal spaces. And it has to do with the fact that when we think about systems of oppression like racism or sexism or classism, they intersect and they create new forms of oppression. So for Black women, depending on your configuration, we experience an intersection of racism and sexism. It could be classism. It could also be homophobia. And so the idea is just that we can't think about experiencing forms of oppression as differing quantitatively, they differ qualitatively. And so when we think about Black women's health, just as an example, a cisgender Black woman is going to have different experiences than a transgender Black woman. And all of these things matter for health because they also influence how physicians treat us. When you think about racism and sexism and classism, and sexuality, and even ableism. A lot of the conversation that I saw on social media after the Oscar debacle saga had to do with a lot of Black disability activists really speaking out, which I appreciate because we don't have a lot of nuanced conversations around Black disabled individuals or Black disabled women. And so we think about the fact that my experience may be different from another Black woman, for example, a Black trans woman or a Black disabled woman. It causes us to think about these qualitative differences, and experiences, which then impact our health. So again, it's not a frivolous concept. I think it actually speaks to the nuances in our lived experiences that we may have. Now, I think another aspect of intersectionality that we don't talk about as much, which also came up with this Oscar debacle, had to do with phenotype. We don't think a lot about phenotype, but hair, complexion, and we know the debacle had to do with a comment made about an actress's hair. which again, that hair condition is due to a medical condition. And so I think it causes us to think with nuance, it causes us to think with specificity, and it also reminds us that we don't need to generalize. All Black women are not a monolith. We all have unique, different experiences, different identities, and intersectionality bears on those. So I was actually really grateful to see a lot of the nuanced conversations happening, at least on Twitter, after this Oscar debacle. Again, Black Twitter, let me specify, on Black Twitter, there was definitely some nuanced conversations that were happening. But intersectionality, in my opinion, is one of the most important frameworks to ever be articulated. And I really wish more disciplines took it seriously, because I think it could answer a lot of questions that have been unanswered because we're not thinking with the nuance and specificity that intersectionality requires. But it's absolutely important for health, absolutely important for Black women's health. But how that looks, it depends on those different identities that Black women possess, like not just race and gender, but sexuality, class, ability versus disability, et cetera, phenotype.
Wonderful. Dr. Dawne, I actually want to go to you next because I wanted you to expand on that when we're talking about disparities in women's health.
Yeah, I think what's interesting and when we're talking about those nuances, Dr. Eleanor, is that unfortunately, sometimes we don't even get to the nuances because we just have implicit biases that are there, that are in place, where they're not seeing us the same way they see other people. And unfortunately, I have a real life example of that occurred with a fellow physician. A fellow physician had a medical condition. She was seen in the emergency room. She happened to be, have another fellow Black physician, both of these are Black women, physician go with her. Now, the condition that she had, for most doctors, with how she presented, you would do X, Y, and Z, right? And had the physician that was accompanying her not pressed for these tests to be done, she had a condition where she could have died quickly, right? So we can talk about nuances, but a lot of times we can't even get past the structural racism and the implicit biases that occur with Black women and Black men, right? And again, these things are happening every day. And they are, also adding to why we have these numbers of Black women dying at 50% higher than, or preterm birth is 3 times higher for Black children. That's because from the very beginning, they are looking at us, they are seeing color, they may be seeing, sex, and they are treating us drastically different, and it's impacting the healthcare that we're getting. And so what we who are in the structure have to start doing is putting a voice to that and working with people that can put policies in place that can start turning that around. Because we're not going to stop the death until we create structural policies that these hospitals have to follow in order to make these changes occur. Because there's not enough Black doctors out here to actually impact the way it needs to be done.
And you a key thing, and that's part of the reason I transitioned over. It wasn't like my choice. It was like life happened. And one of the things that actually was a motivator for me was I went through an illness. And that's the time during the time I wrote this book, it was for my own healing at the time. But it was all those things you mentioned. It was, my treatment was different when I said I was a doctor. I was, I guess, naive, but I just thought, they're going to treat me fine. I'm okay. I don't have to introduce myself. But it was like literally not all of them, like night and day when I let them know who I was, and I was just like, man, I imagine what other people go through who don't have the ability to say that. And I tell friends and people now, I don't even play with it. I don't play with it because I've lost people. I've had things happen that shouldn't have. And I'm like, I'm auntie, tell them you got an auntie, you got a cousin, sister, whoever, that know somebody that's a doctor, and they can call me, whether you family or not. And it's a shame it has to be to this level. And again, it's not to say that it's all of them, but it's enough where it's an impact and it makes a difference.
And
And
sometimes even saying that doesn't make a difference.
exactly.
Right? Like, unfortunately, sometimes you could come in and I am Dr. So-and-so, but you're the patient. And because the bias is bias, it still manifests itself there.
Unfortunately, to whom much is given, much is required. So it's been, since I became an MD, I've been advocate for family, friends, everyone. And having two parents that are now deceased, both of my parents, who had to walk through the medical system, I saw firsthand, my father, he had dementia, and he had to move through different illness things, and he would be rushed to the hospital. And I come in and I see he's being treated a certain way. I would always try to just be a patient, because I'm just trying to be a daughter, because I'm just trying for my daddy to get well. However, every single time I had to say, I am a physician. I work for X health system inside the city of Detroit. Immediately, people snapped into position. And it's very unfortunate, but it's more than just, I am a physician. I know what you are doing, and I know what's supposed to happen.
I know what you're not doing.
What you're not doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
What you are and what you are not doing. And I know about how long it takes to do X, Y, and Z. And these things should have happened before I even got here.
Yeah.
So you have to come with all of that information, unfortunately. And also I found, because my dad had dementia, so I had to move him into assisted living facility after the third time the police brought him home because he was wandering, but that's a whole nother thing with caregiving and the sandwich generation and all that. But he had to be in a facility, and because he just could not fend for himself, and I was working full time. So we are there, and even there, everywhere, I had to go and even advocate for the other patients there. Miss So-and-so over here in the hall, she's been ringing this buzzer for a while and nobody came. I've been here with my dad for an hour and nobody's come. You have to, as a woman physician, you have to advocate for everybody around you. Like there is no break. You don't get a break. You have to advocate for everybody. And you have to make sure it's done. Because like Dawne said, you can go somewhere, I'm a physician, they may not believe you. And a lot of people are saying that they're doctors and they're not. So you kind of have to flex just a little bit so they understand that what should be happening. And then things get changed like quickly. This woman over here, I'm looking out for her. Her bed gets changed quickly now because somebody is watching. And it's so unfortunate, but I also feel, like I said, I'm very much Christian. So God on purpose trained me for such a time as this. So wherever I am, if I'm supposed to say something, if something is supposed to happen, God placed me there on purpose as his ambassador to do whatever I need to do in that moment for that person. So, yeah, it's horrible, but that's just the way that life is. And until we do get the systems that honor every single person, no matter what, then we're all gonna have to be ambassadors for everybody.
Amen. And that's what this was about. That's what VIP is about. It was about advocating, knowing the questions to ask, knowing, how to take charge of your health, because we have to take some of that accountability too.
Yeah.
You should know things like your medicines and things. And I understand that can be a learning curve with that, but that's the kind of information that you can be empowered to know about. And I was just going to say this comment quickly. I can't believe we almost had, just so that people know, actually this goes to 8:15, not 8 o'clock if people are able to stay on. So just so y'all know. But I shifted from clinical over to the policy side exactly for that reason, Dr. Dawne. And it wasn't intentional, but I felt like God was just navigating, and I got sick. I was actually off work for like 6 months, and I'm like, how can I use my medical license and still make a decent living and be impactful? And all this was going on 10 years ago. And that's when I moved over to the admin side, or more on managed care and health policy side. So I've been in that space for a while, because those are the high stakeholders, right? The policymakers, the payers, they have the power and they have the position. And people would say, oh, you went over to the dark side, but it's like, I got to be a light in that darkness. Only light can drive out darkness. And it took a while to get used to, but we have to be voices at those tables where decisions are being made about our health.
Yes.
Okay. And as an advocate. So speaking of that, Dr. Grenita, my question to you, because you do a lot of work as it relates to that, and how culture informs health and being well. What would you like to add to this conversation?
Oh, wow. This is the heartstrings are being pulled when you listen to just how Black women are expected to be in the world, right? The spaces that are for us, it seems as if we carve them ourselves, right? We have to advocate for ourselves. A very good girlfriend of mine, who Dr. Dawne, she's actually, I believe you know her, Taryn Lamp. She said, sometimes you have to slide your credentials across the table to let them know that this is not a game. So
often,
very often, and just coming into the space and being all these different things, being the patient, but also having to be an advocate, trying something as simple as to hold space for your father. I'm just trying to support my dad. And while doing that, I still have to present this way and I have to be professional. I said, I just stopped speaking in whispered tones probably 2 years ago, because I am very loud and animated. These are the terms that have been used to describe me. Too much, extra, a lot. And I remember being in meetings and I just had to laugh, and I would be talking and I was, well, when I email you guys, it'd really be great, talking to students, it'd really be great if you could respond to my email, because we really need to get these things done. No, and I haven't been quiet like that since I was 3. But I come because people are taken aback, they're intimidated, they're in graduate school. I was having a conversation with a young lady, and the teacher said, calm down, girls, calm down. I said, we're just having a debate. This is problematic for you. You're triggered by this. Oh, you should see when we get together and really have a good time. But just being in that space, we have to remember that the gaze is always upon us, right? People are always looking at us, trying to making decisions about us, not knowing what to expect. So we have to turn that gaze away, and we have to create our own definitions. When we think about culture, these beliefs, these traditions, these positions that have been conditioned, sometimes we don't even know they're happening. We do it because Big Mama did it. We express this like this because this is always where it's been done, the way it's been done. Sometimes we don't even know why we do these things. I know when I say growing up, I loved dancing. That was something that Black girls do. I also liked lifting weights. Black girls don't do that. Black girls don't strength train. Black girls, or if you were an athlete, I gave a talk for first year medical students at UIC, and it was wonderful. They were so open. I was so nervous. I'm like, oh, I'm a cultural person. I'm qualitative. What can I share with them? And they were really open. And I talked about a physical activity story. Like, what's your physical activity story? What growing up developed your relationship with physical activity? Do you love to move, or do you do it because the powers that be tell you you need to do 150 minutes of moderate activity per week for 75 vigorous, and you're trying to get snatched for the summer. So you really don't want to, you really don't like it, you really don't respect it, but somebody told you these are the things you have to do. But I expressed to them when I fell in love with moving, when I fell in love, when I decided that I was going to be this kinesthetic moving being. And I was asking them, what is your physical activity story? If it is one where you have had hurt or trauma, just like there's church hurt, right? What if there's physical gym class? What do we call it? Gym class. People were cruel to you. They were mean. You weren't very good at whatever. So you decided then and there, physical activity and talk to Sister Francis.
Never climbed that rope.
We had to.
I was dope at everything else. I couldn't climb
Right. I just need to understand who climbed the rope. I never saw anybody climb the rope. I couldn't.
None of us climbed that rope.
Okay.
None of us.
Women, we
Because
tried.
We
number
had
one,
too much
women,
extra
we tried.
keeping us
I know
up
how
that
to
rope.
swim, but
my glasses have been this thick since I was in 5th grade. I can read minds, but my hand-eye coordination.
pretty face.
But I love what you said about the physical education, and I'm just looking at the time, having that story. And that's another thing I wanted to make sure. I tell people, move, no matter your ability level, whatever you're able to do. And I'm very sensitive to able body and not. My mom had MS and was wheelchair bound for years and depended on others for her help. And many of us have helped to care for our parents in different ways. But that your body needs to know that it's alive. You know, if you're sitting down, you need to move, ladies. So get out and move. I charge you to do that. And I want to say this before people drop off, and then I'll end with all of you giving a word of wisdom. But this time is going so fast, ladies. Oh my God, I knew I should have made it like at least.
We have to do 2 hours next time.
We
Just tell people to bring their food.
Yeah,
bring your snacks, bring your food.
We need to just do another 2 hours. Is I don't know if I can stay on
Exactly.
2 hours. I'm just being real.
Love about Dawne.
I got
Dawne
a
is
small.
always gonna keep it real.
A 2
I
hour.
don't know about
Part
y'all,
one,
but I'm not
part
gonna
two. Part 2, we definitely, ladies, so be ready. We'll have to do a part 2 and probably a 3 with this, but if you got your cups, I want you to get ready because it's time to spill the tea, as they say.
Spill the tea.
Spill the tea. So I told some of you guys that it was an announcement I was gonna make, and no, I'm not pregnant. I don't like, why would I bring people together on Zoom and I got all kind of answers, like people try
I'm
to
here for it. If that'd be awesome. You like, hey, I decided
You were having a baby with her.
It's not that I didn't write a new book, but I did wanted to announce to you all in celebration of the 10-year anniversary of E.D.I.F.Y and just the whole concept of wellness and thinking about other ways to be well and having different tools in your wellness toolbox, right? Is that I have started or launching a new wellness tea line. So I've been sipping on one called Every Woman. It's a woman's wellness tea. Francis got that too. And the website is VIPwellnesstea.com. Just launched today, so check it out. Just taking
Congratulations.
You're welcome. Taking pre-orders right now, and just trying to figure this out, because I'm just trying to use all the tools and wisdom that God has given me. One of the things that I explored when I was going through my illness was really getting more serious about like herbal medicine, just different integrative practices, because there is a role, don't make no mistake. And I say integrative because there is a time and place where you may need to take that medication. There's a time and place you need to have that procedure or surgery. So when you integrate, you're pulling in different things. So I'm pulling in conventional medicine, but I'm pulling in a lot of natural medicine, because the body has the amazing ability to heal itself. And God has given us a lot here on planet Earth to help us do that. And so this tea line is really about that. It's just another tool that I'm introducing as far as things that helped me. Nothing is a magic bullet, but I want you guys just to check it out. I'm going to be talking more in detail about it over the next few months, hosting different webinars. The next webinar is actually scheduled for April 30th. We'll be talking more about a healthy home, more about finances and financial fitness, getting deeper into that. And definitely have to have the ladies back either before that or maybe afterwards to do part 2 of this conversation. But I just wanted to let you guys know that. I will put it in the website is www or let me see, Answer Live is I'm trying to type it here.
Website is fire. It is.
It's VIP.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Tea. Francis, yeah, you've already tasted, so I send the ladies samples.
Every woman is incredible. It is delicious. It's great.
Tea. And follow me on Facebook, please. You know, I had to figure, I'm still figuring that out. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna even try to act like I got it all together. The social media game, that's why I got people like Renee at KQ Communications, my nephew, all these young folks, my daughter trying to help me with that. But I think we managed to get it set up all right, but it's at VIP Tea Wellness. VIP Wellness Tea is the Instagram, also Facebook. And just check it out. You know, give me your feedback. We'll be sending information, but I want you to like and follow so you'll continue to get information about these wellness webinars and also the product. So with that, I will end with the ladies giving a word of wisdom. How would you like to, again, the title was Every Woman, Wellness, Wisdom, Wealth. What token of wisdom, or what would you like to leave the audience with today? Until next time. Francis, we'll start with you, Laura.
I just want to say, learn you, learn who you are. Take yourself seriously. Listen to yourself. If something is different or is changed or whatever, open up your mouth and say that, and keep saying it until somebody listens. Learn yourself, because you are the expert of you. And if you can't open up your mouth and say what's going on, there's no way that anybody else is going to get started trying to figure out what's going on if you can't open up your mouth and say it. If you need help, if you need assistance, just reach out and say it. And that's pretty much it. But I just found some of these.
That's right.
I wrote a book about 12 years ago. What's up, making the most of your primary care office visit. And I bring that up just because it was meant to be like a good friend or a cousin or auntie to go in with you to that doctor's visit so that you could ask the questions that you needed to ask, because medicine has its own language. And if you don't understand the language and you can't get past that, that can be a big barrier, and you'll never get what you need if you can't do that. So it can be really helpful just to know the right questions to ask. So that is all. Know yourself, know your questions.
All right, y'all each got about a minute each, or this part cut off. Eleanor, we haven't heard your voice in a while.
I'm gonna say some of you who know me know I'm a trained psychologist. I am a big proponent of Black people going to therapy. What we saw Sunday night was Black trauma on display. All of those individuals have trauma seemingly that's unresolved, unhealed. So Black people, Black women, go to therapy. There's no shame. There's no stigma. Therapy is like a workout for your mind. Find a Black therapist. If you need help, hit me up. Hit me up. I will help you find a Black therapist, but we need to be in therapy. Our people have dealt with 400 plus years of trauma. You're not okay, and that's okay. But I want people to be healed and healthy and whole. And I believe therapy with a Black person, see the key there, can help. So I just want people to consider, engage. And if you've never gone, think about going to therapy. The pandemic has leveled us somewhat because now you have many therapists who can do telehealth, do it virtually. They do not have to be in the same place. So if you live in a place like Arizona, where there aren't a lot of Black people, that's okay. Your therapist can be somewhere else because of telehealth. But I want us, and especially Black women, I want us to go in therapy. I think that connects with what Dr. Francis said about learn you, focus on you. But going to therapy, in my opinion, is the first step in committing to your health, your mental health. And I want to bring Double Dutch back. I was thinking about what you said, Grenita, like your physical activity moment. If you're in the Arizona area, holler at me. I want to bring Double Dutch back. That was my favorite thing to do as a child. That Double Dutch is a workout. So I want to hashtag bring Double Dutch back.
In Chicago, they have some Double Dutch clubs.
They sure do.
They sure do. They have, hey, Dr. Eleanor, you might have to start one in Arizona. You may have to.
But bring Double Dutch back. I want to bring Double Dutch back.
I was a queen on my block, but we got like 4 minutes left. Your quick word of wisdom, Dr. Grenita, and then we'll end with Dr. Dawne.
Okay, I will say we've been thinking about all these ways to be well. Discover and clarify what you need to do. Be intentional and be clear. I want to feel better. I want to work out. If you decide you want to lose pounds because you want to look a certain way, that's fine. It doesn't have to be a noble or what somebody else decides is noble for you to accomplish something, but you have to discover what you want. Do not get your motivation from Instagram. Everybody is this unique, beautiful, beautifully complicated person. We're an amalgamation of cells and bodies, and even identical twins, their bodies respond different to different stimuli. If they eat the exact same thing, it's going to affect them differently. So why would you develop a cookie cutter wellness program that's not individualized and tailored to your needs and desires? You know, people ask me, how much exercise should I do? The amount that you're going to do. If you say you're going to do 6 days a week.
Right, we're going to end it right there on that note. I like that. You said the amount that you're going to do.
The amount that you're going to do. Is that twice a week? Is that twice a week for 30 minutes for you?
I love that.
If that's twice a week, 30 minutes for you,
make it happen.
And once you're successful and you're loving it, and it's a part of who you are, it's a part of your physical activity being, then you can add more. But if you decide, that's what happens in January, right? We'll work out 6 days a week for 2 hours, and I'm going to eat lettuce and beet juice. And then by week 3.5, you like,
I'm done.
I'm done.
So what I'm hearing is do what works for you. Dr.
Do what works and do what will happen.
And do what will happen. Right,
realistic, set your sights on being, don't you want to work, but it has to be realistic. If you don't do it, it doesn't matter what goal you set. So begin with the end in mind.
Thank you. I want to get Dr. Dawne in here real quick for this cutoff. Dr. Dawne, words of wisdom.
I would very quickly just say, start with grace. Start with grace with yourself. Start with grace with others. I think one of the things that I noticed on watching everything is that we didn't give anybody grace for anything. You know, people make mistakes, you're gonna make mistakes. But if you start with grace with yourself, then you're more inclined to give grace to other people. And I think looking at everything we've gone through this year, grace should be the first thing we give one another.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely.
I agree. And I am grateful for you all. I am grateful for all the participants. We getting so much love. My daughter popped on. Shout out to everybody who joined. Glennis, I saw your question, baby. We'll have to get that one answered. It's kind of deep. She had one for you, I think, Grenita, about teenagers and young adults. But again, like I said, we're just gonna have to do more of this, ladies. Thank you so much. Lisa, my right hand, from Joliet, Linnell, just shout out everybody. We appreciate you. Please continue to follow us, stay connected. Let us know what you want to hear. We love you. And my words of wisdom this time would be just continue to engage. We need each other, ladies. You know, get your homes in order. Homes meaning physical home, also your body temple and your spiritual home. Get it in order. There's no time to be playing right now. And we're here for you and we love you. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.